Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, where we're tackling that infuriating feeling that your money has secretly joined a witness protection program. Seriously, wasn't it just payday and now it's gone? If you're tired of your bank balance playing hide and seek, stick around. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. It's the free equivalent of investing in yourself. Drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win. Big or small, let's celebrate the wins. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. You know the feeling. You open your banking app. Maybe you hold your breath a little. You've been avoiding it, haven't you? Whether it's payday or just another Tuesday, the pit in your stomach is the same. Where did it all go? You worked hard for this money. You had plans, big plans, savings goals, investments, maybe finally getting that thing you actually need. But looking at the balance, it feels less like growth and more like watching sand slip right through your fingers. It arrived, you blinked, and poof, significantly less is left than you logically feel should be there. And naturally, you start pointing fingers. Was it that daily latte? That lunch with colleagues you felt obligated to join? Ah, yes, obviously that $8 smoothie is the financial villain preventing your early retirement. This kind of thinking feels logical, right? You're tracking the tiny drips, trying to plug the small holes. But here's the surprising truth. The money myth you need to bust right now. Focusing on those small, visible expenses is often a massive distraction from the giant, invisible leaks. It's like meticulously patching a leaky faucet. While the foundation of your house is cracking from a burst pipe you refuse to acknowledge exists. You feel broke, stressed, or just plain stuck. Not because you bought coffee sometimes, but because you haven't truly understood or controlled the entire flow of your money. You're reacting to symptoms, the low balance, the credit card bill, instead of directing the cause. This isn't about blame. It's about a fundamental lack of awareness of the gap between what comes in and where it actually unconsciously goes. Until you see the whole picture, the entire flow chart of your cash, you're applying bandages to a wound that needs surgery. This invisible leak, this unknown destination of your hard-earned cash, is the real barrier, holding you back, whether you're earning minimum wage or pulling in six figures. It's not about needing to earn more right now. It's about mastering what you do with what you have. The first, most crucial step to fixing this feeling, this cycle, is admitting you don't fully know your money's journey from paycheck to, well, wherever it vanishes. Try this for a week. Don't change anything. Just consciously observe every time money leaves your hands or account. No judgment, just pure observation. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. So, after getting that initial spark, the first real step, the foundational move in this financial growth journey, is defining your money flow. What is your money flow, anyway? It sounds a bit mystical, maybe like some ancient money ritual, but it's actually deceptively simple and incredibly practical. Think of it as the journey your money takes from the second it hits your account to the moment it leaves your possession. It's where your income meets your expenses, your savings, your investments, your debt payments, every single dollar's movement. Imagine it like a river system. Your income is the powerful source upstream, consistent and hopefully growing. Your expenses? Those are the various streams branching off. Some are like irrigation channels watering fruitful fields. These are your essential needs, things that sustain you and allow you to thrive. Others, well, they can sometimes feel like draining into unproductive swamps or puddles you barely notice. That's your unconscious spending, the money that evaporates without you seeing a real return or even remembering where it went. The goal here isn't to build a massive dam to stop the river entirely. You need the flow for life. Instead, it's about becoming a master river guide. You need to understand the currents, identify where the water is going, and learn how to direct those streams intentionally towards the fruitful fields of your goals. Whether that's savings, investments, or just mindful spending on things that truly add value to your life. Now, here's where many people hit a snag. They think they know their flow. They might confidently declare, "Oh, I spend about X on food, Y on rent, Z on entertainment." It feels like they're in control because the bills are paid on time, right? But this is often a rough guess, isn't it? It's clouded by wishful thinking, past habits, and those countless little transactions we instantly forget about. The impulse buys, the forgotten subscriptions, the just this one-time purchases. And here's the surprising insight, the kind that feels like someone turned the lights on in a dark room. The difference between your perceived flow and the actual flow revealed by tracking is often vast, even shocking. You might genuinely believe you're saving a solid 10% of your income every month, picturing that savings account steadily climbing like a high score in your favorite video game. But when you actually map the flow, you might discover those little unconscious expenses. Maybe it's the daily coffees, the weekend impulse buys, or the apps you never use, are secretly siphoning off cash, and your true saving rate is closer to, say, 2% or even less. Ouch! It's like trying to navigate a cross-country road trip with a map you drew from memory as a kid. You'll probably get lost. You simply cannot manage your money effectively, make smart decisions, or grow your wealth if you don't have an accurate, data-driven map of its journey. Feeling like you're in control is great for confidence, but feeling isn't data. Data is what gives you power. The first, most crucial step towards taking real control of your money, towards becoming that master river guide, is creating that map. And the way you create it? By observing the flow without judgment, just collecting the facts, like a detective gathering clues. It might feel uncomfortable at first, seeing where your money really goes, but resist the urge to immediately judge yourself or try to change things. That comes later. For now, commit to this simple, powerful action. For the next 3 days, just observe. Track every single dollar's movement, where it comes from, where it goes. Use an app, a spreadsheet, or even a notebook. Just watch the flow. This one habit of pure observation changed everything for me, and it will do the same for you. We've talked about how crucial awareness is, about shining a light on your financial reality. But if gaining awareness is the key, if simply knowing is the first step, then why is it so incredibly hard? Why do so many of us flinch away from the banking app? Why do we procrastinate on tracking our spending? Why does the idea of looking at a budget spreadsheet make us feel like we need a nap? It's simple, really, but profoundly impactful. Money isn't just mathematical. It is deeply, deeply emotional. Our spending habits, our saving habits, our entire relationship with money is tangled up with our feelings. Think about it. We spend money seeking comfort, asserting status, escaping fear, relieving boredom, giving ourselves rewards, or reinforcing our identity. Every transaction often has an emotional driver behind it. That latte isn't just coffee. Maybe it's a little moment of self-care in a stressful day. That new gadget isn't just tech. Maybe it's tied to feeling successful or capable. That spontaneous purchase online, it could be driven by loneliness or the need for a quick hit of dopamine. This is why looking at the raw financial data means confronting not just numbers on a screen, but the feelings, decisions, and even insecurities behind them. When you see clearly where your money went, you're seeing a reflection of why you made those choices. Maybe you spent money out of loneliness, and seeing the transaction reminds you of feeling isolated. Maybe it was stress buying, and the number on the statement is a stark reminder of how overwhelmed you felt. Or maybe it was trying to keep up appearances, and seeing the cost brings up feelings of inadequacy. Seeing these decisions in black and white, disconnected from the immediate gratification, can bring up a flood of feelings: shame, regret, anxiety, even embarrassment. This emotional weight creates what we call friction, a powerful resistance to looking honestly at your financial situation. It's not laziness, it's a protective mechanism, albeit a flawed one. Behavioral finance gives us the language for this. We're wired for this avoidance. We often succumb to present bias, prioritizing immediate gratification, the comfort or thrill of spending now, over the potentially much larger but delayed future gain of saving or investing. And don't even get me started on mental accounting, the quirky human tendency to treat different pots of money differently, like labeling some cash fun money versus bill money, even if it's all the same actual dollars. This leads to irrational spending because we've emotionally compartmentalized our funds. It's like your brain telling you calories from dessert don't count on vacation. Think about that familiar feeling. You avoid checking your bank balance or credit card statement after a night out or a big impulse purchase, because you know you likely overspent. And the dread associated with confirming that reality is easier to avoid than the reality itself. The uncertainty, oddly enough, feels safer than the confirmation of a painful truth. Here is the surprising and sometimes difficult insight. This avoidance, this choosing discomfort over clarity, costs you far, far more in the long run than facing the truth ever could. The fleeting feeling of dread or shame you avoid by not looking compounds into missed opportunities for saving, escalating debt from unchecked spending, and persistent, low-grade stress that chips away at your well-being. The feeling of discomfort from confronting reality lasts moments or hours. The consequences of persistent ignorance can last years, trapping you in cycles you don't even fully understand. Facing the number is temporary pain for long-term gain. Avoiding it is temporary comfort for long-term pain. So, for a moment of reflection, let's just name the friction. No judgment, no need to fix it yet. Ask yourself, what's stopping you? Specifically, identify one specific emotion you feel most strongly when you think about or deal with your money. Is it fear of not having enough? Shame about past mistakes? Anxiety about the future? Maybe even excitement that leads to impulsive choices. Just name that core emotion you associate most with your finances right now. Okay, you've committed to observing. You've acknowledged the emotional friction, maybe that little pang when you think about money, or the urge to look away. You've taken those crucial first steps towards facing your financial reality head-on. So where do you actually begin mapping this flow of money you're now committed to understanding? The answer, surprisingly simple but often overlooked, is you start with the easiest, most tangible part. You map the outflow first. Your spending. Think of it like a game. You can't build a winning strategy until you know where your resources are being used, or, let's be honest, potentially wasted. This is where most of the leaks occur in the system, and it's where you have the most immediate control, the most direct impact you can make starting right now. Forget complicated budgeting software and intricate spreadsheets for a moment. That comes later. This phase is purely, and I mean purely, about data collection. It's like collecting stats in a fitness journey before you even design a workout plan. You need to track every single dollar that leaves your possession for a set period. No exceptions, no filtering based on whether you think it's important. How do you do this? The method genuinely doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Pick something you know you can stick to. A simple note on your phone that you can quickly add to? Great. A small notebook you keep in your pocket? Works. A dedicated tracking app that you commit to opening every time? Perfect. Even just downloading your bank and credit card statements at the end of the period and highlighting everything line by line is a valid starting point. The tool is secondary to the habit of capturing the data. Let's use an example. You decide, okay, I'm going to use my phone's Notes app because it's always with me. You buy that morning coffee, you immediately pull out your phone and jot it down. Short 50 cents. You pay a bill online. You make a note. 75 electric bill. You make an impulse online purchase. Hey, we said no judgment. You jot it down. $32, random gadget. And yeah, you might feel a slight discomfort as you type it. That's the awareness kicking in, the process working. The surprising insight that inevitably comes from this simple tracking exercise. You will find expenses you completely forgot about, expenses you drastically underestimated, or spending that happens on autopilot without you even consciously registering it. Those recurring subscriptions after a free trial ended, you'll see them. Those small, frequent purchases, the snacks, the little treats, the convenience buys, you'll see how they add up alarmingly quickly. It's like shining a spotlight into dusty corners you didn't realize were there. This isn't about feeling guilty or judging past choices. It's about gaining absolute clarity on your current reality. You literally cannot plug the leaks in your financial flow if you don't know where they are. So here is your action, the concrete step for today. And yes, this is non-negotiable. For the next 3 days, track every single dollar that leaves your hands or your accounts. Use whatever method is easiest for you, but be diligent. No excuses, no exceptions, just pure, honest, transparent data collection. This simple act is the bedrock of taking control. All right, you've taken the crucial first step. You started tracking. You saw the raw numbers flowing in and out of your life, transaction by transaction. That alone is powerful, like looking at the individual ingredients laid out on the counter before you start cooking. But just seeing the ingredients doesn't tell you what meal you're making, right? You need to group them. Understand what goes into the main dish, the sides, the dessert. That's exactly what we're doing now. This is step 2, making sense of that raw data. It's time for categorization. Think of it like sorting your spending into meaningful buckets. You're not just seeing transactions, you're seeing patterns. And trust me, these patterns can be shocking. You don't need to get fancy or overcomplicate this initially. Start with broad, simple categories that cover the essentials of life. We're talking buckets like housing. This covers rent or mortgage payments, utilities like electricity, water, internet. Food. Split this if you want into groceries and dining out, or just keep it simple for now. Transportation. Gas for the car, public transit passes, maybe a car payment. Debt. student loans, credit cards, personal loans, insurance, health, car, home, etc. Personal care, gym memberships, clothes you buy, haircuts, things that maintain you. Entertainment, movies, streaming services, nights out, hobbies. Savings, investing, money you're intentionally setting aside for future growth. And finally, miscellaneous, the things that don't fit neatly anywhere else, but try to minimize what goes here. It's often a black hole. Here's where the real eye-opener comes in. You might have diligently tracked every penny for the last week, 2 weeks, or even a full month. Now, take that data and add it up within each of these categories. This is where perception crashes headfirst into reality, often with a comical thud. You might have mentally estimated you spent around $400 on dining out last month, thinking, oh, just a few dinners here and there. The data, however, shows you actually dropped $850 at restaurants and cafes. Or perhaps you thought subscriptions were minimal, just Netflix and Spotify, right? Turns out, you're bleeding $150 a month on dormant gym memberships, streaming services you never watch, apps you forgot you signed up for, and that weird artisanal sock subscription you thought was a good idea once. It's like stepping on a financial Lego you didn't see coming. And that, friends, is the surprising insight. Our mental estimates of where our money goes, especially in specific spending categories, are almost always wildly inaccurate. We have a remarkable tendency to undercount discretionary spending, the dining out, the impulse buys on Amazon, the entertainment, while overestimating our fixed costs or essential needs. This massive gap between what we think we spend and what we actually spend is precisely where financial progress stalls for so many people. You suddenly realize you're not just underspending on savings, you're overspending on things that don't truly add lasting value or joy to your life. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's empowering data. It gives you the power to change. Your action: take the spending you've tracked for the last 3 days, or longer if you kept the momentum going. Group each transaction into these simple categories: housing, food, transportation, debt, insurance, personal care. Entertainment, savings, investing, miscellaneous. Add up the total amount spent in each category. Look at the numbers. Which category was the biggest surprise? Was it higher or lower than you expected? This one habit changed everything for me, revealing hidden money leaks I never knew existed. Do this now, and you'll see exactly why. Okay, so if tracking your outflow was like holding up a mirror to see where your money goes, understanding your inflow is like looking at the engine, where it comes from. And trust me, for many people, this isn't as simple as just glancing at a paycheck. Your inflow in the earn flow zone isn't just the number. It's the total amount of money flowing into your financial ecosystem over a specific period, usually a month. Yes, that includes your primary job income, but it also encompasses those side hustle payments, freelance gigs, benefits, interest earned in savings accounts, dividends from investments, birthday money from grandma, that unexpected tax refund, anything that increases your total capital. Now here's where most people stop and say, okay, got it. I make X per month. What's next? But that's like saying you understand a car just by knowing its top speed. We need to look under the hood. Have you truly analyzed the effort behind that X, the time, the energy, the stress, the commuting? And have you seriously considered ways to increase X, not just by begging your boss for a raise, though that's a valid path, but by leveraging your existing skills or time in different, potentially more profitable ways. Here's the surprising part, a real myth bust for many. Your perceived hourly rate from your main job is often drastically higher than your true, effective hourly rate. You might take your salary, divide it by 40 hours a week and 4 weeks a month, and get a number. Looks pretty good, right? But what about the unpaid overtime you consistently put in? The 2 hours a day you spend commuting? The mental energy you spend thinking about work issues outside of 9 to 5? When you factor all of that time and effort into the equation, your actual take-home pay, after taxes and deductions, because that's what you actually receive, divided by the total time investment related to that job, the number can be eye-opening, maybe even a little depressing at first glance. Calculating this true effective hourly rate is a core concept that impacts your financial and personal growth trajectory. It gives you crystal clear cause and effect. If Job A pays what looks like $50 per hour on paper, but has a true effective rate of $30 per hour because of hidden time costs, and Side Hustle B pays $40 per hour but requires zero commute and strict time boundaries, Side Hustle B might be a far more valuable energy exchange per hour spent towards your financial goals, even if the raw rate looks lower. This one calculation changed everything for me when I realized where my time was truly being valued. Understanding your inflow deeply also means recognizing potential sources of growth you might be overlooking or aren't actively tapping into yet. So here's your action step for this section. Calculate your total inflow for the last month. Gather every single source of income, no matter how small. And if you're paid hourly or have variable income, calculate your average effective hourly rate for your primary source based on the hours worked versus your actual take-home pay. Be honest with yourself about the total time investment. This data is your foundation. All right, you've laid the foundation. You've courageously stared down your expenses, categorized the chaos, and clearly mapped your income streams. You've done the detective work on where every dollar went and where every dollar came from. Now, it's time for the moment of truth. It's time for something I call the gap. This number is, without exaggeration, the single most important figure in your personal finance journey right now. It's not your impressive salary, the intimidating total of your debt, or even your current net worth, though those are important later. It's the simple, yet profound difference between your total income and your total expenses over a period, usually a month. Inflow minus outflow. This is the gap. It's the amount of money you have left over after everything is paid for, or, if it's a negative number, the amount you're short. Think of it like the air in your lungs after breathing out, before you take the next breath in. It's that available space, that capacity. If the gap is positive, congratulations! You're generating surplus. This surplus is pure potential. It's the fuel you need to power your financial goals. Imagine it as raw energy you can direct towards saving for that down payment, aggressively paying off debt, building an emergency fund, or investing for future wealth. It's the positive current you can harness. But if the gap is negative, that's the red flag waving frantically. It means you're spending more than you earn, systematically digging yourself deeper into debt each month. It's like a leaky boat constantly taking on water. You can try to bail, but until you plug the leak, you're sinking. Let's look at the example. Suppose your after-tax income is a solid $3,500 a month. You did the work. You tracked meticulously. and you found your total expenses last month were $3,200. Your gap? A seemingly healthy $300. Phew, right? You're not in the red. But here's the surprising insight, the hidden trap many fall into. A positive gap, while necessary, is not automatically good. An unmanaged positive gap is almost as dangerous to your long-term wealth building as a negative one. How can that be? That $300 in our example, where did it go? Did it sit idly in your checking account, slowly losing purchasing power to inflation? Did it get frittered away on impulse buys after you finished your main expense review? Maybe it vanished into the financial ether without you even noticing. An unmanaged positive gap means you have the capability to build wealth. You have the fuel, but you're not actively directing that potential. It's like having a powerful sports car, but leaving it in the garage. Or having a strong current, but letting it flow aimlessly instead of using it to power a mill. It leaves your potential vulnerable to unconscious spending, inaction, or simply drifting. The gap must be managed. It's not enough to have a positive number. You must consciously decide what that number will do for you. Will it be deployed strategically, like soldiers on a mission, or will it evaporate like mist in the morning sun? This realization changed everything for me. Finding the gap is step one. Directing the gap is step two, and arguably the one that leads to true financial transformation. So here's your crucial action for this stage. Based on your tracking, calculate your current monthly gap. Total inflow minus total outflow. Look at that number. Be brutally honest with yourself. Is it positive? Is it negative? This number is your starting line. This is where your power lies. Calculate your current monthly gap. Dear Section 8, directing your flow. Seeing that gap, that beautiful difference between what comes in and what goes out, is powerful. It truly shifts you from feeling like a passenger on a runaway train of expenses to seeing yourself as the potential pilot of your financial future. But let's be real, potential isn't performance. Just knowing the gap exists isn't enough to build wealth or hit your goals. It's like knowing you could lift a heavy weight, but never actually picking it up. The absolutely critical next step, the one that turns possibility into tangible progress, is directing that flow. This is about consciously deciding where every single dollar in your gap goes before you even have a chance to mindlessly spend it. This is the core of intentional finance, the secret sauce of financial freedom that people rarely talk about with this level of clarity. Think of your incoming money not as a big amorphous blob waiting to be chipped away at, but as a team of workers arriving for duty. Instead of letting them mill around in your main account, potentially clocking out early on frivolous purchases, you give each worker a specific job before they even get comfortable. This is where the tools you might have heard of, budgeting software, simple spreadsheets, sinking funds, and especially automated transfers, become incredibly effective, not as shackles, but as levers of control. Let's revisit that example we mentioned. Maybe last month, after tracking, you calculated a glorious $500 positive gap. Fantastic. But if that $500 just sits in your checking account, mixed in with your spending money, what often happens? It slowly, insidiously leaks away on coffees, subscriptions you forgot about, or impulse buys that seemed like a good idea in the moment. It's like having a perfectly good bucket but leaving it out in the rain without a plan for the water. It just overflows and disappears. Instead of letting it sit, you direct it. Before that $500 is even fully settled, you've already given it marching orders. You decide that $300 goes automatically to a high-yield savings account specifically designated for your emergency fund, beefing up your safety net. Another $100 is automatically transferred to your investment account, putting your money to work to grow over time. And that final $100, it's allocated specifically for a planned large purchase next quarter, maybe a new computer, or that slightly ridiculous but awesome gaming chair you've been eyeing. It sits in a separate sinking fund account, patiently waiting for its moment. See? This isn't about restriction in the painful, can't-buy-anything sense. It's about prioritization. It's about aligning your spending, or rather, your non-spending, with your actual goals. It's saying, my future security and growth matter more than another impulse Amazon purchase. Here's the surprising insight that changed everything for me and countless others. Giving every single dollar a job before it ever reaches your main, everyday spending account eliminates decision fatigue and drastically reduces the opportunity for impulse spending. When that $500 hit your account, the decision about its purpose was already made. There's no moment of weakness, staring at a large balance, thinking, what could I buy? You move entirely from a reactive position, constantly asking yourself, how much is left now after I bought X, to a proactive one. My money is already where it needs to be. It's already doing its job according to my plan. It's like prepping your meals for the week on Sunday. When Thursday night rolls around, you don't have to decide what to cook when you're tired. You just heat and eat the healthy thing you already planned. Your action right now, before your next paycheck or income hits. Decide exactly where the first $100, or hey, maybe it's $50 or even just $20, the amount isn't as important as the habit of your gap will go. Where will that first chunk of surplus income be directed? Will it build your emergency fund, pay down debt, go into an investment account? Set up an automated transfer for it if humanly possible. Make the decision before the money arrives. This one habit changed everything for me. And that brings us to a point that many beginners find themselves at, a crossroads that can feel daunting, but is actually the most powerful place to start your journey towards financial calm. Stabilizing the beginner flow. If you've done the tracking we talked about, and you've looked at that gap, that difference between what's coming in and what's going out, maybe it's negative. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe the gap is tiny, almost invisible. And the idea of directing a large surplus, of watching a significant stream of money flow towards your goals, might feel incredibly distant right now, like trying to fill a leaky bucket with a dripping tap. But here's the surprising truth, the kind of insight that flips the script. The principle of managing your flow, of being conscious of where your money is going, is even more critical for you right now. It's not about shame. It's about building a foundation where none currently exists, or shoring one up that's crumbling. Think of it like health. If you're critically ill, the priority isn't training for a marathon. It's stabilizing your condition, getting out of the danger zone. Financially, your priority is making that gap positive, even if it's just by a few dollars, and starting to build even the tiniest buffer. It's like finding the biggest hole in that leaky bucket first. You looked at your tracking data. It showed you the reality of your spending. Perhaps you saw categories that made you wince. Let's use a common example, one we see so often: Maybe your tracking revealed you're spending $150 a month on fast food deliveries or eating out convenience, and another $80 on a handful of streaming services you rarely watch or don't need anymore. You might have signed up for a free trial and just kept paying. Sound familiar? By consciously deciding to cut just these two significant leaks, you instantly free up $230 a month. That's not insignificant. For many, this single focused action can turn a negative gap positive overnight, or significantly increase a tiny positive one. It's like finding a hidden spring that suddenly adds water to your bucket instead of just watching it drain out. This is where we challenge a common myth. Many beginners agonizingly try to cut their daily coffee habit or stress over a few dollars here and there on small impulse buys. While conscious spending matters eventually, for stabilizing the flow, those tiny cuts are like trying to stop a flood with a teacup. They yield minimal results for maximum mental effort and often lead to burnout or feeling deprived. The surprising insight here is profound. For beginners, small, consistent actions focused on plugging the biggest, most obvious leaks create momentum and reduce financial stress much faster and more effectively than trying to implement a perfect, complex budget cutting every tiny expense. It's about impact per effort. Focus on the major categories revealed by your tracking data. The ones that make you say, "Whoa, I spent that much on that?" This isn't a call for perfection, but for decisive, impactful action. Your mission right now is not to optimize every penny, but to stop the bleeding. You have the data from your tracking. Now it's time to use it strategically. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from looking at that list of spending categories again? One more time, right now. Identify one recurring expense or spending category. Maybe it's subscriptions. Maybe it's a specific type of convenience spending, like our fast food example. Maybe it's unused gym memberships, where you know, deep down, you can make a significant cut today. And commit to making that change this month. This one habit, identifying and plugging a major leak, changed everything for countless people moving from scarcity to stability. It's the bedrock of building a positive flow. Okay, let's talk about leveling up. You've worked hard, you've stabilized your finances, you've got that positive gap between what you earn and what you spend. And guess what? That gap is actually growing. You're not just surviving anymore, you're building momentum. Welcome to the Optimize Growing Flow stage. This phase isn't about fixing leaks anymore. It's about installing a supercharger on your financial engine. Your income is solid. Maybe you're seeing some good raises, bonuses, or your side hustle is taking off. The task now is to consciously direct this accelerating flow towards meaningful wealth-building goals. We're talking aggressive moves like tackling those high-interest debts that are still lingering, wiping them out for good. We're talking seriously bumping up your savings rate, not just a little bit, but significantly. And it's definitely time to either start investing consistently or seriously increase your investment contributions. Here's the sneaky trap waiting for you at this level. Lifestyle creep. It's like a silent, invisible tax collector. Your income rises, and without even thinking about it, your spending just expands to fill the space. You start ordering delivery more often, getting slightly nicer versions of everything, maybe upgrading the car sooner than planned. That growing gap you work so hard for? It evaporates into 1,000 little expenditures, and suddenly, despite earning more, you don't feel much wealthier because you're still living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher number. It's like training hard to gain muscle, increase income, but then just eating more junk food. Lifestyle creep. Instead of using that energy to lift heavier weights, invest, save. Let's look at a classic scenario. You get a fantastic raise, boosting your net income by $600 a month. Most people high-five themselves and gradually let that $600 melt into the budget. Maybe slightly better groceries, a few more nights out, a new gadget. It just disappears. But what if, the moment that raise hits, you immediately reroute that $600? You could increase your 401k contribution by $300 and set up an automatic transfer of the other $300 into a brokerage account or a high-yield savings account dedicated to a specific goal, like a down payment or future investments. You don't even give that extra $600 a chance to become part of your spending habits. It goes straight to work building your future. And here's a potentially surprising truth, a real mythbuster in personal finance. It's not the absolute size of your income that builds wealth fastest. It's the percentage of your income you consciously divert away from consumption and direct towards asset building. Think about it. A $50,000 earner who aggressively saves and invests 20%, $10,000 per year, is building wealth significantly faster than a $100,000 earner who, due to unmanaged lifestyle creep, only manages to save 5%, $5,000 per year. That 100K earner feels richer, but their wealth-building velocity is slower because they didn't optimize their growing flow. People often underestimate the raw power of consistent savings percentage, especially when income is rising. It's like compound interest, but for your saving habit. This one habit changed everything for me. Automating the allocation of new income before I could get used to spending it. So here's your action challenge for this stage. The next time you receive any increase in income, be it a raise, a bonus, a payout from a side hustle, even a tax refund, commit right then and there to directing 50% or more of that increase directly into savings, accelerated debt reduction, or investment. Do it automatically if possible, before you even see the money hit your regular checking account and get tempted to spend it. Ask yourself, what's stopping me from rerouting this new income straight to my future self? Is it the desire for immediate gratification? Is it simply inertia? Identifying that barrier is the first step to dismantling it and truly optimizing your growing flow. Okay, let's move into the next phase of building your financial destiny. So, you've reached a significant milestone. You've not only built a positive financial gap, meaning you're spending less than you earn, but that gap has grown into something substantial. You're financially stable. The immediate stress of bills is likely behind you, and perhaps you've already dipped your toes into investing or building assets. Welcome to the Accelerate Builder flow. You're no longer just plugging leaks or shoring up the foundations. You're actively constructing something significant. You're an ambitious builder now, looking beyond simple stability towards creating substantial wealth or making a considerable impact on the world around you. At this level, mastering the flow isn't about finding $10 here or there to save. It's about strategic allocation and leveraging the capital you've worked so hard to accumulate. That gap isn't just money sitting idly in a savings account anymore. It's become capital that's ready and waiting to be deployed strategically. Think of it like graduating from managing a small personal garden to overseeing a large agricultural operation. The principles are the same, but the scale and complexity require a totally different approach to resource management. For you, accelerating your flow means making deliberate decisions about where your surplus capital goes to generate the highest return or impact. This could mean aggressively reinvesting profits back into your business to fuel exponential growth. It might involve making more sophisticated or even leveraged investments that align with a higher risk tolerance appropriate for your established stability. Acquiring income-generating assets, perhaps real estate, royalties, or stakes in other ventures, becomes a key strategy. Or, and this is often overlooked, it could involve using capital for philanthropic endeavors that not only align with your values, but potentially create future flow through enhanced network, reputation, or new opportunities born from impact. Consider the entrepreneur who has a phenomenally profitable quarter. The old mindset might be a huge personal payout. The Accelerate Builder Flow mindset says, what if I reinvest 70% of that profit into hiring a key team member who can not only scale the business beyond what I could do alone, but generate a significant future return on that capital? That's directing flow not just to consume or accumulate, but to generate significantly more flow down the line. It's about understanding that capital is a tool for creation, not just a shield against uncertainty. And here's the surprising insight at this stage. Managing your flow is now less about meticulous personal expense tracking and more about optimizing the return and impact of your surplus capital. Yes, financial discipline is still essential, but the heavy lifting on cutting personal costs is largely done. You've likely streamlined your lifestyle to a point that works for you. The marginal gain from cutting another subscription pales in comparison to the potential return from a well-placed investment or strategic business expansion. The focus decisively shifts from accumulation, simply gathering resources, to strategic deployment and growth amplification. It's the difference between filling a bucket and building a pipeline that fills many buckets and irrigates fields. You've built the bucket. Now it's time to use the water to grow an entire forest. You've moved beyond defense into offense, using your financial strength to multiply your resources and impact. It's a powerful pivot, and one that requires a different kind of financial intelligence. Not just how to save, but how to intelligently allocate and multiply. This is where the real fun begins for the ambitious. It's not just about having money. It's about making your money work smarter, harder, and with greater purpose than ever before. It's about understanding that your surplus capital is a resource with immense potential, waiting for your direction, your action. Review one area where you could potentially reinvest or strategically deploy your surplus capital, be it in a business you own or are part of, a specific high-potential asset class you understand, or advanced education, network building that could unlock future opportunities, with the explicit goal of generating a significantly higher future flow or creating greater positive impact. Rather than just letting it sit passively or making only incremental gains, ask yourself, where can I plant a seed with my capital that will yield a forest? You've seen the journey we've walked together here at Earn Flow Zone. From that initial, maybe slightly uncomfortable moment of admitting you don't truly know where your money goes, we've moved through understanding your inflow, the lifeblood of your finances. We then tackled mapping your outflow, shining a necessary light on where that flow is actually directed. This process revealed the critical gap, the difference between what comes in and what goes out, a number often far more telling than your salary alone. And most importantly, we've explored how to intentionally direct that gap, to make conscious choices about its destination, regardless of whether your current income feels like a trickle or a gush. The core principle we've uncovered is simple, yet it holds the profound key to your financial future. Your destiny isn't sealed by how much lands in your bank account each month, but by how consciously you understand and actively direct the flow of money through your life. It's like trying to win a race without knowing the course. You can run hard, but you'll likely just end up tired and lost. Ignoring this lesson, choosing to stay in the financial dark, means you remain a passive passenger on a journey you're not steering. What happens if you ignore this truth? You stay perpetually stuck in the cycle of not enough, that feeling of constantly chasing, even as raises come and go. Stress persists like an unwanted houseguest. Opportunities requiring even a small buffer or seed capital seem to pass you by like trains you can't catch. Your immense potential remains just that, potential, never blossoming into actual financial security, the freedom to make choices, or the ability to create impact beyond your immediate needs. You might work harder, take on side hustles, earn more, but the money will continue to feel like sand, slipping through your fingers into the unseen, unaccounted-for abyss. But here is the powerful truth, the turning point. The power to change this narrative is entirely in your hands. Right now, it doesn't demand a massive lottery win or mastering complex Wall Street algorithms to start. It requires a clear-eyed commitment to awareness and intentionality, beginning with the money flow you have today. Think back to the contrast we discussed. Two people earn the exact same salary, maybe even work the same job. But one person understands and actively directs their flow, building assets, reducing debt, and experiencing less stress. The other stays in the dark, constantly wondering where their money went, trapped in a cycle of struggle. Your financial destiny isn't predetermined by your starting point. It's shaped, molded, and ultimately created by your willingness to simply look, to learn what your money is doing, and then, with purpose, to direct your flow where you want it to go. The final, most crucial step after gaining all this understanding is the simplest, yet often the hardest. Take action. Not tomorrow when things are less busy. Not next week when you feel more ready. Today, right now. From everything we've explored in this journey, choose one single specific action. Make it small if you need to, but make it real. Maybe it's tracking your spending for just the next 3 days. Maybe it's taking the spending you tracked and actually categorizing it for the first time. Perhaps it's sitting down for 15 minutes to calculate your current gap between income and expenses. It could be deciding, right now, where the next $100 of your positive gap will intentionally go. Or maybe you identify just one small expense you can cut this week. Calculate your effective hourly rate to truly value your time. Decide how you will specifically allocate your next income increase, even before it arrives. Or take a first look at how your capital, that intentional gap, is currently deployed. Is it building wealth or just sitting? Pick just one thing and commit to doing it within the next 24 hours. This isn't just homework. This single small act of taking control is the true starting point, the foundation upon which you will build and master your money flow, and in doing so, Build the financial life you genuinely want. So, take a deep breath. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and your mastery of money flow begins with a single conscious action. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about acknowledging the truth of your current situation, embracing the power you have to influence it, and taking that first deliberate step forward. The awareness is powerful, but applied awareness, that is where transformation truly happens. The feeling of directing your money, rather than being dictated by it, is incredibly empowering. This commitment to seeing and directing your flow isn't just about numbers in a bank account. It's about building resilience, creating options, and aligning your resources with your deepest values and dreams. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity or passivity to one of intentionality and abundance. This is the core lesson, the enduring power you unlock. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.